Welcome to the Obstacle Dominator podcast, the show for athletes who want to become their best and inspire others in the process. Here we're going to dive deep into training tactics, race strategy, nutrition, mindset, and everything required to dominate the course and your life. Whether you're tackling your first race or already standing on podiums, this is where you can level up. There is always room for improvement, and it is time to push through those barriers and step it up a level, breaking both the physical and the mental walls to keep progressing. I'm your host, Matt Roberts, OCR athlete, coach, and guide to those committed to becoming healthier, happier, stronger, faster, to maximize their human potential now and always. I'll also be joined by the coaching team who are walking the walk, competing, staying current, and holding themselves to excellence. They are leading by example to inspire others to rise. We also bring on guest speakers who share real stories, real lessons, and proven methods that deliver results in performance, health, and mindset. Let us begin. In today's episode, we are speaking to Greg Downham. Greg has been part of the Primal Fitness Obstacle Dominator community for around about 5 months. And really, this is part of the story of his transformation. These initial few months have really been pivotal. When I met Greg, he was in quite a challenging situation in his personal life, and through our conversations and through him committing to the process and the program and really immersing himself in the community and implementing everything, he has come out the other side bigger, better and stronger. So this is his story, and I'm excited to share it with you. And also keep an eye on this guy, because the off season is really going to be pivotal for him and his training. And also he's going to be doing incredibly well in 2026. This year alone, not only has he had a transformation with his body, his mentality is improved, and his personal development is really in a good place. Looking to start a new business as well, which is due to launch at the start of November as well. So he's literally gone from strength to strength. And actually this year was the first year he competed in any OCR. He'd done a few running races previously, but he'd done a couple of the UK Spartan races. And then he actually flew out to West Virginia in the United States to do the Trifecta World Championships with myself and Coach Mitch, where we met a bunch of the US team members and a couple of Canadian guys as well. So here's a little bit about him, his story, and where he's going next. Enjoy.
Hey.
Yo, Greg.
How's it going?
Good, man. Really good. Awesome.
Nice.
All right, well, let's dive in, shall we? No time like the present.
Sure. It's it's exciting. It's exciting to be talking to you.
Yeah. So welcome to the podcast, man. I know you've been part of the community and been listening to this. And not only have we got to know each other in person on a personal level and shared many good experiences, you've gone through the coaching program as well. So this is really an opportunity to talk about yourself and your journey to whatever degree you want. I'd love for you to share as much detail as you'll be open to, because I think with that openness, that vulnerability, it's going to really help and inspire other people. And it's been beautiful to witness your growth and the change in such a short amount of time, not just physically, but in other aspects of life. And I think, you're the one that's put in the work here. So I want to talk about what you've had to do, what's helped, and really talking about where you're at now and also where you want to go in the year and years ahead with many different things. And I want you to touch on also the business aspect as well at some point. So over to you.
Thanks so much. It's where to begin. When we met one another, it was at our local gym, probably back in the late spring of 2025. And the gym can be quite a daunting place. even if it's the best gym with the best equipment and a nice surrounding, it's very easy to go up onto the shop floor and go, where do I start? So I was probably at that time 88, 89 kilograms, overweight in the eyes of the UK BMI chart. Finding it difficult to manage is the stress of life. Um, that comes from a number of different factors. So I work in technology and I build fiber to the premise networks all over the UK. So uh, been doing that ever since being a school leaver. I'm now a director in a company. So that comes with a lot of stress and strain, and there's a lot of people looking up to you um, as you lead big teams. So I also separated from my wife, and we're whilst that's difficult, we're grateful to have two beautiful children. Um, so yeah, learning to navigate life post the separation is something that I was also having to deal with. So yeah, there I am dabbling in the gym and not really getting very far, being inconsistent with the training, definitely being inconsistent with the eating, and thinking that you've got to do 6 sessions a week and you've got to lift heavier and do bigger and do more is the right way to go. And come May, June, I'm like, this isn't working. This really isn't working for me. My body feels wrecked. The headspace is not calmer. It's what's going on. So I start noticing a couple of people in yourself and Sarah at the gym, with the amazing Primal logo, which is, yeah, it's quite striking when you see it. So what's this all about? I talk to these people, and that's where we met. We had a conversation, and you taught me about the different aspects of primal fitness. It's about having a balanced program, one that builds in rest and recuperation. It's the key specific areas, whether that be strength, grip, or VO2 max intervals. And I then realized that you could probably offer me a structure that I'd never experienced before. And we worked out a plan, and that's where we started.
Yeah, and I mean it's a brief overview of all of it, but yeah, I think the thing that come up for me there is like really trusting our gut and our intuition and our knowing, because I think one side of it when it comes to fitness, and I've been there in the past, is like, well, I just keep going, I just keep attacking it, and eventually the results will show up. But here's the thing: yes, it can take time to make progress and develop, and that's what we should always be endeavoring to do. But if we're not seeing changes in our body or energy, or we're not seeing statistics increase, then something's not working. Either there's not enough of a stimulus, or there's too much of a stimulus, and then that's out of whack with the rest, the recovery, the nutrition, the sleep, all these sorts of things. So I think trusting our gut, our intuition is absolutely key when it comes to this, because I used to be the guy that was super consistent, but actually I was training far too intensely, too often, and it was burning me out. And then I had a lot of stress on top of that. My nutrition was crap, and then because I had a newborn, I wasn't sleeping very well. So then I'm like, well, I've got to train harder, because if I don't train harder, then I'm not going to get a result. So it's an interesting one.
Yeah, so there's this. I spoke to being a father, and there's definitely this kind of image, stereotypical image. I want to be a strong father. I want to be big and strong. I want to look great. I want to feel good. I want to have great big muscles and a hairy beard. Um, and I was subscribed to that. I was like, yeah. So I was actually getting quite big and quite muscular, but I was overweight. I was hugely overweight. So the diet was all over the place. So introduced to Coach Mitch, um, Liam Mitchell. So instantly resonated with him. We'd spent time in the armed forces, as you have. So, some of the language and the lingo was there, and we're bouncing off each other, using these silly phrases that no one else would really understand. Um, I looked at him and thought, wow, you're clearly in good shape, and he's a European champion, right? In OCR, in the world of OCR and Spartan race. So a great role model and a great coach to start with. I felt very exposed to begin with. It takes a lot to, get down to your shorts and start taking photographs, because it's like looking in the mirror, right? And you look in the mirror and you see, okay, right, this is where I'm at right now, and I've got some work to do. I've lost 10 kilograms. I think I actually lost 12. I actually got down to 76 kilos, and then plateaued out, got back up to 78, which is what I consider my race weight. I've built muscle. I've gone from 22% body fat down to something like 14% body fat. Still got a little way to go on that. My composition has changed dramatically. So I've got shoulders and lats and things that enable me to tackle the obstacles in Spartan race. My VO2 max is shot from 41 to 57. And I'm convinced that's due to the interval training that we do. Um, I've seen some amazing statistics, but more important than all of that, it's about how I feel. I feel great. I feel so much healthier, so much better, and so much better equipped to deal with the daily challenges in life.
So how many years did it take you, Greg, to achieve all that?
How many years did it? Well,
It's a trick question.
it took me about 5 months. I actually, at the time I met you, the Spartan race season had just kicked off. So I was umming and ahhing as to whether I was going to even take part in any races, whether I was just going to train really hard this year and then embark on the racing in 2026. And then I thought, no, I'll do what I describe as a shakedown. I'll do some races. I'll do a part-time campaign. I wanted to expose myself to all of the different types of races. The sprint, which is typically 5K. Although Spartan have some interesting measuring tools, because they almost inevitably end up being 7 or 8 kilometers. 10 super 10K, which again in my experience is usually about 12, 13, and the beast, which is typically 21. I think the last beast I did was 23.5 kilometers, and that was without any penalty loops. So I've, across the year, right, I did some initial assessments, and the feedback I got was, you're at a pretty good level. I think you should go for it. I think you should race. And I've raced at 3 events across the UK this year, completing a trifecta. And yeah, you and I have often spoke to limiting beliefs and setting goals that aren't high enough. So I went from thinking I just needed to train to going and completing a trifecta in the UK. And also, did I mention that we went to the World Championships in America and did a trifecta weekend, all in 4-5 months.
For sure.
Yeah.
So pretty
Yeah.
incredible, really. It is. It truly is, to achieve like so much across so many different things in such a short amount of time. But I relate personally, because as soon as I transitioned into this way of life, primal eating, more primal aligned living, yeah, better sleep, yeah, lower stress, mindfulness practices, yeah, really working on my overall mentality, organizing myself, my routine, building constructive habits, not annihilating myself in training, really full overall optimization of aligning with who we are as human beings. That causes a massive shift. It really, really does. So I've been through that. I've seen many other people that we've coached go through that, and then, yeah, you've also experienced the same, and it's really really powerful, and it's mind blowing really, because I remember speaking to Bob, and Bob's going to come on the podcast too. But I remember speaking to him at his 4 month mark, and he was like, "Matt, I've achieved more in 4 months with the Obstacle Dominator plan than I have in 8 years of training before this." Why? Optimization, getting everything in balance. So I don't know if there's anything you want to share on that, and then I've got a couple of questions for you, Greg.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, so I've met Bob. Bob and I joined call it a cohort, call it whatever we're going to call it, but we joined at roughly the same time. And I want to say that my character is a very all or nothing type of character. So I do tend to throw myself into things and give it 100%. That's just my nature. But what I would say about obstacle dominators is e- even if you're not like that, it's so accessible that uh, the plan is structured in such a way that you will be successful. Yeah, it's laid out, and all you really have to do is you don't have to think. You just have to rock up, complete your training. Um, there's an amazing amount of supporting meetings. I think I aim to attend at least 3 of them a week, where I learn about nutrition, race tactics, mentality, um, taking the time to express gratitude and reflect, as well as constantly setting ambitious targets for the future, which is so important. Bob and I come up through the ranks together. You know, although we're in different age groups, I believe we're both inside the top 10 in our age group in the Spartan UK National Series. I didn't think I'd be hearing that sentence come out my mouth months ago. Well, I think I came 7th in the Beast at Pippingford, and it's because I've literally followed the plan. And for anybody thinking about doing this or embarking on this, I would say absolutely go for it. You know, you can do it too. And you do tend to get out what you put in. You know, you have to show up for yourself and for your coaches, but you too can make the change in a short space of time.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Greg. Um, and really, it's not the reason like I've got you on the podcast is to sound all like salesy, pitchy, because I know as human beings we have a lot of resistance to being sold stuff, and there's probably a number of people already turned this podcast off, going, "You're only trying to sell me something." But here's the thing: like, I'm super passionate about this process and primal living because it fucking changed my life, and it's changed hundreds of other people's lives that we've touched. It's changed Greg's life. So there's 2 ways you can view this, listeners, is like you can feel like you're being pitched and sold something, or you can see this as an offer and an opportunity to actually make some progress in a very, very realistic but also short amount of time, then build on that. And here's the thing: out of all the people I speak to, and I watch a lot of athletes online that would be so much better in competition, in racing, as well as other aspects of life if they simply applied a few of these strategies. I'm not saying sign up into the program. I mean, we've got a free school group. There's plenty of other resources, but just start incorporating a few of these things into your life. And not only will your energy increase, your body composition will change, your strength will go up, you'll get faster, you'll probably start earning more money, you'll probably have more time on your hands, you'll have a better lifestyle, better sleep, better relationships. The list is endless. So this is the question I've got for you, Greg, as well, because I can kind of blow smoke up my own arse and Primal's arse all day. People are skeptical, um, and that's why I have people like yourself from the team on there, because it's like, don't take my word for anything that I say. Like, question it, and that's a big, powerful message in everything in life. Question everything. Don't be gullible. Don't hear something or see something and think that's fact. Yeah. Try it, experience it, look at different perspectives and different avenues, ultimately trust your gut and let that be the guide. But if we're operating from a place of scarcity or resistance, then that's going to work against us. So the questions I've got, because I know we're talking a lot about racing, Greg, but I think that was something that you was introduced to and then got involved in through our conversations because we're speaking about bigger goals. So question is, like, when you signed up, did you think you'd be doing what you're doing now? Did you achieve all the things that you wanted to? And then when it come around to the racing, how did that really enhance everything within like day-to-day life habits and routines?
If we start with, did I think I'd be doing what I'm doing now? Absolutely not. I would have laughed you out of the conversation if you said you're going to be a top 10 athlete in the UK National Series and have been to America and really took it to the world stage and given that a good go. These are all like sporting achievements, and they're, yes, you have to show up and you have to do the race, but these are almost like byproducts of other aspects of my life. I've leveled up in so many other aspects of my life since joining Primal Fitness. Emotionally, I've learned how to regulate my emotions, and I'm sure that's the regular exercise and the regular rest, but the way we approach things in our conversations, being respectful to one another's, listening to their points of view, um, holding space for others. I've learned respect. I've learned how to hold myself in conversations. Um, I've tapped into a spiritual side of me that I never thought I would have. Um, I spend a lot of time out in nature. Um, I play music now. I can play guitar, for heaven's sake. Where did that come from? Um, and I've made some beautiful friends through music and being out in nature. It's those other aspects of my life that have leveled up, which enable me to hold the job down. Yeah, I used to measure my success based on you know all of those crude things of how many nice material things I had, how many hours I worked, you know, um, how smart my tie and shoes looked. I That stuff is important because it pays the bills, but it's no longer my primary focus. Um, yeah, I'm at risk of rambling now, but just going back to your questions, Matt. There's other aspects of my life that have leveled up so much, and the sporting achievements, they're almost like a byproduct. It's almost like you put in the hard work, and the event, you just got to show up, and that then shows you what you've achieved.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, it's an interesting one how it all intertwines and crosses over and then creates this positive cycle of everything improving and
Yeah.
yeah, just getting better and better over time. So I think thinking back to our initial conversations, you're in a pretty sticky place in numerous aspects and you deeply desired change and you committed and you really made this happen. And then having the overall structure and the support and then ultimately you putting in the work because you had that desire that made you achieve one thing, then another thing, and then it just started this momentum to build, and then you went from one thing to the next, but without absolutely annihilating yourself as well. I don't know, like from your perspective. I mean, do you feel? I know you've had to work for it, but do you feel like I don't know you've been overstretched all of the time, or yeah, how do you feel?
No, no, that was part of the reason for reaching out in the first place. So I was I was lifting weights and all the weights were going up, and doing a lot of body weight stuff too. But I had a rotator cuff injury on my left shoulder. Um, my calf muscles were constantly getting tight, and it was getting to the point where I wasn't even competing at that point. I wasn't even doing sports. I was just training purely for aesthetics, which seems silly now, to be honest. And I had all these niggling injuries. So the program that I've been on has definitely given me longevity in what I do. Um, my posture's improved as well. My posture, and these are all just natural things that have come out. I think having longevity in what you do and being able to sustain it is one of the biggest things, because politely anyone can come in and do a 3-month program and gain some aesthetics. Uh, but I think a lot of people part ways with the personal trainers, or they give up on the gym and go back to playing video games and ordering a Domino's because it's not interesting, it's not engaging, right? Every single week, well, not every single week, but on a regular basis, uh, my training slightly changes with interesting names and titles and different exercises. That keeps it fun. That keeps it really interesting and makes me want to come back because I'm curious to see, what's Coach Mitch going to give me this week? So that's super important to me. I'm also, at 37 years old, I've got that little bit more life experience behind me. So, and I think with that, I bring a certain level of uh, expectation. You know, just yeah, this is the real deal. Yeah, my diet has changed, my skin has changed, my hair has changed. Um, I had a grade one hair when I first met Matt. I'm joking, of course. It wasn't that short, but it's seriously like the diet. Uh, inflammation's gone down. Um, my skin is better. It's everything is moving in the right direction. I wondered, Matt, if I could talk to the subject of sort of sportsmanship, and being a father is something I'm really, really proud of. Meeting some other fathers out on the course.
For sure, man. Let's touch on that. I just want to just wrap up what we were saying, and then let's dive into that, because I think it's important to state, because I mean I train in the same gym as you, um, and the days that I actually train in the floor, it's just interesting witnessing people, how they actually train, how they move around. I mean, I don't really know their goals and whatever else, but like a conversation we had the other day, it's like what's often on the surface isn't isn't even the majority of the story. It's almost like the iceberg. You see the tip of the iceberg, but then beneath the water, you just see this magnitude of things, and people don't actually understand that. But once we gain an understanding of that, actually we train with more intent, we move with more purpose, and therefore we get better results. And I'll give an example of that. So at the moment, I'm using machines in the gym, and the strength training session I done last week was bang on 30 minutes. I trained every muscle group and done 2 sets in 30 minutes. There was still this guy sat on two machines in that time. Yeah, so we wonder why we don't get the dramatic changes to our body composition, because we're not training with intent, we're not moving with purpose. Now we've probably got different goals, but I'm in and out before he's even finished a couple of sets on two muscle groups. And there's a whole host of benefits to training and moving with a little bit more intent. But I think it's fundamentally comes back down to the understanding, like what's the goal, why is the goal, being specific with the training towards the outcome that we want, and then reaching a little bit higher. Now, when I was a personal trainer, because you just mentioned that, like, and one of the reasons why I've moved on to this particular model with Primal Fitness and Obstacle Dominators is because it's not a good use of time for the majority of people to have someone watching over them saying, oh, tweak this little bit of form when you do a pull up, or make sure you bend here a little bit more when you're doing a deadlift and hold it this way. In the grand scheme of things, does that really fucking matter? What matters is they lift in some way and move their body with enough of a stimulus to yield a particular result. But as we know, sleep, nutrition, stress management, habits, routines all lead to progress and consistency if balanced optimally. The training really is the least important part out of all of that. I mean, you could do a shitty workout and still yield a lot of results from it if you've got enough of a stimulus and targeting the correct energy system. And when I was PTing, I think I said to you the other day, it was like by the time I come to the end of being a personal trainer before the pandemic, I was doing all of the sessions that I was paid to do in the office, because it doesn't matter how much time they spend on the floor and how much I spend with them counting reps and sets. They leave, they go home, they eat the shit, they stay up late, they binge Netflix, whatever. But actually, where the magic happens is talking about what they're doing outside of the gym. And I think a lot of personal trainers do their best to do that with the time restraints and within their skill set. But to be honest, it's not effective enough. And that's why I moved to this online hybrid model, because actually we can touch on the training, give you guys ownership and accountability on the execution. We tweak and refine that over time, but then we can really focus on where the magic happens. And that's all the stuff that we don't do in the training sessions.
That's the added value that is difficult for an outsider to see. I've got friends and family that say, "Hey, can you talk?" I'm sorry, I'm on a call. What are you doing? I'm learning. What about electrolytes, salt intake, race strategy? Oh, really? Yeah, yeah. This is all part of the complete package. Um, the gym that we go to, there's a lot of beautiful people up here. You know, they look aesthetically, they look the part. You know, you scratch beneath the surface, and yeah, they're doing the same thing week in, week out. If it works for them, great. You know, I tell you how I know what I'm doing is on the right path. They're coming up to me and asking, "That's interesting. Cool. You're doing pull-ups into plyometrics, into dips, into Bulgarians," and I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "What's that logo on your shirt?" And I'm like, "Oh, it it's when people are coming up to me, and I didn't 6 months ago, I was bottom of the rung. So yeah, I tend to keep myself to myself in the gym, but when you've got people approaching you, naturally curious about what you're doing, I guess you think you're doing something right.
For sure. And I know
Yeah.
we had another conversation around this, but most people don't even know the benefits of deload and tapering. They're like, what's that? So,
That's an interesting topic. So I wear a Garmin watch, and you know there are many different ecosystems out there. You've got your people that like Whoop, um, Vivo Fit, Apple. Garmin just works for me, and the data. I'm not a Sean Stevens by any stretch of the imagination. Sean, who my fellow athlete and friend, loves the data and takes a lot from that. I use a combination of intuitive, how my body feels, plus the data. It's just what works for me. But every single time I've approached a race weekend, the watch has put me into a status of into to peaking, and it says you've optimized your stress levels, you've deloaded properly, you're ready for this race. And I've always had that status about 2 days before the race, which lets me know that the training's working. Um, I've also, in the interest of humility, got it wrong. So after Pippingford, I thought I'd be clever and go run a 3:30 pace around an athletics track. A day after, the watch straight away says, "Oh dear, what are you doing? You're overreaching," I think was the phrase. And yeah, I knew it. And there's a reason that we have these peaks and troughs built into the program, and you need them, and you must observe them.
for sure. Massively, massively important. Myself and the coaching team are going to do a podcast on really optimizing all of our training. Yeah, balancing the stress and the rest and deloads and tapers and everything like that. Really, because it's important to know, and super valuable. Yeah, because if we get it wrong, and as we've seen, and I was actually on my run earlier, and I was thinking, okay, why does this person keep getting injured? And it's like too much, too soon, too much intensity. Yeah, and that's it with inadequate rest and recovery, pushing the boundaries, and it's like, okay, well, there's your answers. Yeah, and I know we spoke about it earlier on a coaching call. It's like be realistic with the time frame. Like start thinking in terms of years rather than weeks or just months. Yeah, and then reverse engineer the process. Like, where do you want to be? Who do you want to become? What do you want to be achieving? And then seeing where you're at. But a lot of people are like, who was I speaking to earlier this week? But it was someone actually I was speaking to online this morning, and they were like, okay, I am currently running X amount of distance. By the end of the year, I want to be running this distance. And then by March next year, I want to be running this distance. That's an 100% increase in less than 6 months. Is it realistic? Yeah. But it depends on how well that individual recovers and could they risk injury with the percentage increases they want to make per week? Yes, definitely. What's the cost of that? Probably weeks, if not months of training out. So would it be better to double the duration of that goal and probably reduce the intensity or one or the other and attack it that way? Yes, because then you can be consistent over the next year versus attacking it for 3 months, getting injured, taking 3 months off, and then end up back in the place that you were in the first place. But somehow we don't think that. We sign up to the race that's in 6 weeks' time and then go, well, I kind of want to do this, and then pick up a niggle or an injury and then train through that. So I'm just mentioning this to urge people to really optimize the intensity. It's like you were saying about running the 3:30 pace. Can you run it? Yes. Can I sustain it? Yes, but only for a set period of time. But what happens interval after interval is that starts to degrade, and we're trying to meet the time when actually the body's not yet in a position to be able to sustain that. Therefore, we're overreaching, and even one additional interval at the wrong pace could cause something to twang. So we've got to be super mindful. And we spoke about it about one of the guys we know at the track, hit PBs, bunch of PBs, and then in fact he hit a PB with his 5K time, achieved his goal, his pace for it, ticking the box. The following weekend he was like, okay, I'm going to see if I can beat this again. A week later, beat it. And then he was like, right, I'm on a high now. And then started pushing the boundaries. Boom, been out of training for 3 months. His knee's blowing up. Yeah. So we peak for
Yeah,
something and then we back off. That's what we should be doing rather than I peak and then I continue to peak and then I peak and peak and peak and then I blow up.
and that individual that you mentioned, I saw them the other day, and they're doing their stretches and the mobility, and they're on the climb on the way up. But it fills me full of dread. I think about the mental impact of that as well, how difficult that would be to navigate. So you just have to exhibit a little bit of self-discipline, um, else you risk putting yourself out for months. And for people that work hard and exercise and diet is their outlet, what happens when you take that away from them? Oh dear. Yeah. How are you going to backfill that and remain level and grounded and be a well-rounded individual?
Truth. Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, the importance of communicating with your coach. If you are going to do something out there, at least run it by the coaching team, gather their thoughts and ideas.
Definitely. Um, quickly before we move on to what you wanted to speak about with competition, um, would you mind talking about our recent conversations around the goal setting process and yeah, what we actually spoke about? Because I think we touched on like goals and people not understanding why the goal's a goal, but then we can also set a goal that seems meaningful, but then actually maybe we've not set a big enough goal. Therefore, actually, we're not really gonna move with intent. Yeah, train with purpose as much as we could.
Yeah, so limiting self beliefs is a real challenge. Something you have to um, work really hard not to limit yourself. And if I'm a humble chap from a village in Norfolk, which is a very small county in East Anglia, for those of you that are global. And if you said to me that that I'd be working in Tech Avenue um, for a big software company doing the things I do, I would have laughed at you and said absolutely not. So I I didn't limit myself in business. I knew I wanted to provide for my family and build a strong home and secure home, and I went after it and I went for it. I've never done that in the health and fitness aspect of my life. I neglected those aspects. So again, not really knowing where to pitch for my health and fitness goals, we use an exercise in Primal called the 7 levels deep, and it teaches us that you may have a surface level idea of why you want to do something. Um, but when you ask yourself, okay, so why is that important to you? It may reveal something else. So why is that important? Okay, talk to me more about that. And then suddenly it's this completely different thing that you thought it was. And I actually did it with a friend the other evening, and it brought out some really strong themes. And suddenly we went from not having any desires or goals into having 9 strong things that really, really resonated with that person. So I'm in the midst of doing my own 7 levels deep. And I said I wanted to be a top 10 athlete in the UK National Series next year in Spartan race. Okay. I'm in dangerous territory here now, Matt. I'm about to declare to the world my intent. um, I subsequently decided I'm going to shoot for UK National Series champion, specifically targeting the beast. Long distance is my effort. I may embark on an ultra too, because long distance is my speciality. And then you do the 7 levels deep on that. Why is that important for you? OCR is a bit like a metaphor in itself. You do some running, you're trudging along, you're getting your head down. Oh dear, there's something big and ugly I've got to get over or get under or go through. So that's why I like the sport. It's about navigating difficult things. So my 7 levels deep, it brings out the fact that this is all a metaphor for working around things and using the right tool for the right job, remaining grounded, remaining calm. And yeah, that for me is what it reveals.
Yeah, it's a super powerful exercise. And I was actually sat there yesterday because you don't need to go into the detail of journaling it. I don't know, it could be anything really in life. Or what do I want to do? Whether it's good or bad, like you might be tempted by something. Why do I want to do that? Oh, I want to feel good. Okay, why do I want to feel good? Oh, I want to feel good because actually I'm a little bit stressed. Why are you feeling a little bit stressed? Oh, I'm feeling a little bit stressed because I've had a busy day. Why have you had a busy day? Oh, I didn't plan properly and actually I was being reactive. Why were you being reactive? And it just goes on and on and on. It's like, so you can just use the why and the question of what you want to do as a sentence stem, and then you can just see how it all rolled off my tongue. When you get to 5 or 6, it might get a little bit sticky, but that's because you're like, oh shit, actually, I wanted to eat the cookie, but actually, I was trying to fill a void. I was trying to numb, versus actually addressing what needed to be addressed in the first place. And this is what a lot we're talking about with like facing ourselves and looking in the mirror, limiting beliefs, and sitting with self and actually processing what's beneath the surface. And I also see this for a lot of athletes as well. And I think we mentioned this on the call the other day. Like we're doing 7 levels deep. Why do you want to be national series champion? You might do the 7 levels deep, and you're like, well, actually, I don't. I remember there's a guy we coached last year, and he done a 5-6 month program with us. And at the start of the coaching, oh yeah, I'm not really too sure what I want. And then 6 months later, he's like, Matt, I thought I wanted to be a champion in Spartan, but actually, I realized that I don't because of all the work that we done. Success. Yeah, we made somebody operate from their own authenticity to find their truth, to become the greatest self, rather than getting sucked into different things.
And that's equally as valuable, if not more valuable. Instead of teaching you what you do want, it can teach you what you don't want. It's really difficult. You need to be prepared. Sometimes if you get to question number 3 or 4, it might show you something you don't like. And it might show you that you were coming at things from the wrong angle. You didn't really want what you wanted. That's, as you to your point, that's a success. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you just witnessed you move through some discomfort then, and there was a little bit of hesitation. Oh fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyway. And it was when you were talking about your goal. It's like, I want to be national series champion. And we touched on this actually. I think earlier on in the week on a call. It's like, yeah, I want to be national series champion, versus repeating that as an affirmation, and every time you get clearer. Yeah, you have more certainty, you say it with more conviction, and by the time you've said it 10 times, you're screaming it and you feel it in your body, and then you can visualize that. But the thing I wanted to mention was, actually, by you mentioning that, you are announcing that in a public forum, which people have heard. So when it comes down to being in the pain cave on those races, you've already got a higher level of accountability than the person's like, I want to be the national series champion, and don't even understand why. Probably they got daddy issues and they want to be validated.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the one dadding on course. The amount of people I walk behind and go, "Come on, let's get after it. Yep, let's get up this hill." Yep. And I don't know if that's the ex-military, but I'm like, kudos to the ultras, and like I talk. I'm a very strange individual. Some of you might get to know me in person, but I get pleasure out of seeing others do well. I get pleasure from pushing myself beyond what I thought was possible. And I asked myself there, so who works harder for it? You know, I know how hard I work. I know what I sacrifice. I sacrifice things I want to eat, other things I want to do. Um, it, why does that person deserve it more than me? We're all equally and deserving in that opportunity. I'm going to put the work in this off season, and I'm going to give it the best possible shot. And I'll evaluate at the beginning of the season and give it my all.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, and it's about putting all of these things in place, and then, yeah, being consistent over the off season. We'll do another podcast on consistency in the off season as well, because that is super important.
Definitely put some demons at bay on course when you're out there. Your head, especially on the longer races, a lot can come up. And at the strangest of times, when you're trying to lift an Atlas ball, you're questioning your life choices.
Mm. Well, this is it. The athlete that is super clear on the goal, why the goal is a goal on the deepest level, is going to perform significantly better than the athlete that's just out there running it and oblivious to why they're running it. Cool. All right, let's dive into what you wanted to talk about surrounding competition and camaraderie, and what you've like seen, experienced, and learned from that.
Yeah. Come race morning, and I picture back to, I think it was the day of the beast. It was the last day in West Virginia, the Spartan race, World Championships, the Trifecta weekend. It was foggy. Do you remember how foggy it was? It was quite a moody atmosphere and environment. And straight away, that sort of had the potential to set an eerie tone. I remember setting off, watching the elites, cheering you guys on, especially the British athletes, and then getting into the pen and warming up. I met Jesse Johnson, and Jesse Johnson was he's similar to my age. He's in my age group. He's a father, and I've been competing in open heat to specifically relieve pressure from myself. World Champs was all about learning for me. It was all about exposing myself to all the different obstacles. So I didn't go in there, trying to take everyone out and completely annihilate myself. But human nature got the better of me, and I was watching the statistics day after day. I was going, "Who's this guy? What's he about?" And it's like, I don't know, Matt. It's like human nature kicks in, and you start comparing yourself. And it took everything in my power to not compare myself. Okay, well, how many races have they done then? Da, 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 da. And I'm like looking at the data, and I'm like, no, stop. Like the point of the story was we stood on the start line and we looked at each other, and I said, "Are you Jesse?" He said, "Are you Greg?" And we shook hands, and there was just this beautiful embrace. And his father was there, and his father was taking photographs of him, and we were shaking hands, and he was going, you're the guy. You and I have been neck and neck for the whole weekend. And we actually took off at the same time, and we stayed with each other for a good portion of time. And I think Jesse finished 2 or 3 minutes ahead of me when the dust was settled, and he was there waiting for me at the end of the race and gave me a hug. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful moment. And I thought, wow, not only is this sport giving me um, all the things it's given, but I've I've learned about sportsmanship, and I've learned to respect my opponent. And it's just another human, another father who's trying to do their best and is showing up and putting themselves through uncomfortable situations when they don't need to, but he chose to. And with that, that's something we've got in common.
For
It was
sure.
just lovely.
Yeah, it really is. It's such a beautiful thing. And no doubt you're going to experience that more and more over the years. Like your biggest competition will often become like your best friends over the coming years. And when I first got into sport, um, I didn't know anyone. Absolutely, but I was actually chatting to Nath Mabs Godfrey the other day, and we've known each other since I started. And yeah, we used to be neck and neck every single race. Was in different categories, but at the stage. But as time went on, we moved into the same category, going toe to toe. And actually, that led on to us building a really good friendship. And then eventually, I started to I started to beat him in some races and look better. And he's like, "Hey man, what are you doing? Like, tell me what you know." And then he decided to move on to the coaching program and coached him for about 3 years, which is incredible. Um, yeah, and he's still having some good success in competition now as well. So it's beautiful. Um, so yeah, look forward to more of that. And I think that's another reason to yeah, jump up into different categories and really test yourself, because when you meet a person like that, you push each other and you get so much more out of it. And you can have the banter as well. Like I've had the banter over the years where you're kind of running up the hill behind someone, like, "See you in a bit," give them a slap on the ass. And they're like, "You fucker." Like it just becomes this comical thing. And then they blow past you again and like, "See ya." But
That
it's
that that happened also in America and Pippingford. There were these two young guys, and they strapping things like whippets, right, super lean, and they took off and got about 5K into the beast, and they're like, "We're just doing this for fun," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm showing up. I'm trying to give this my best shot, and you're here for fun, like what?" And yeah, I said the same thing. I said, "I'll see you in a couple of kilometers," and yeah, slowly chipped away, and they're in the distance. Pip, Pippingford was funny because I had a guy, I was neck and neck with him, and then he said, we went over the finish line. He says, "What was your finish? What was your start time?" It turns out I'd started 15 minutes behind. So it's. I guess the story there is, you know, just run your own race. Just concentrate on you, and try not to compare yourself to others. Um, that can be a dangerous thing to do.
mm, Definitely. Comparison can be used as a really good tool, but also we shouldn't use it to tear ourselves down. Use it in a constructive way where you can go, okay, well, I want to level up. So how much of this gap do I need to bridge, and is it realistic in this amount of time? Versus, wow, I'm actually being, I don't know, suppressed or overwhelmed by the comparison. And this can be done with open heaters to age group competitive, or age group competitive, seeing a lot of age group competitive racers not stepping up to elite level performance when actually there's a lot of openings for uh, age groupers to step up into that. But we're going to talk about this on a deep level. I won't go off on a tangent. But an immediate performance enhancer is to put yourself in an environment where actually you're going to be pushed, and you're going to push yourself more. And that's why I encouraged you to really look into your goals. And then you're like, actually, I am going to stretch myself. I am going to shoot for the top position. Because if you're just shooting for top 5 or top 10, yet again, when you're on the course, it's like, well, I only wanted top 5 this year. It's actually fine. I can just coast in this position, not really push myself and bleed for it. Versus, I've announced it in public and I know why I'm doing this. And you're really going to shoot for it, and you're really going to bleed in a positive way.
And unless you're Paul and you hit a chain and then you do actually bleed. And shout out Paul, my Canadian warrior friend.
Yeah. Well, this is it. This is the thing when it comes to racing. People think, oh, just doing the obstacles and doing the distance is the challenging thing. But actually, like when you get that cut or take that fall or that knock, or you are in a bad place, or I don't know, you've got gut distress, that's the thing that makes the races tough. So a lot of what we're doing is mitigating as many of those things in training, so that we're prepared, so that if those things do arise physically, yeah, we can rely on our mentality to carry us through. And yeah, my first ever Spartan race, I broke my foot and I still finished it. In hindsight, not a good idea. Too much of the mindset, and actually done a lot of damage. But it's what I'm talking about is having the ability to go, why do I want to do this? Why do I want to finish? What's relying on it? But also not to the extent where we're sabotaging ourselves. Like in the context of where Paul was at when he like bludgeoned himself with the chain, you could see
Yeah,
that he wanted to stop, and rightly so. Like fuck, like, but being in touch and distance and encouraging, motivating right at that time is going to be the thing that's going to get you across the finish line. Yeah, because when stuff gets tough, we kind of want to curl into a ball. But this is what you were saying about, this is where the crossover is from obstacle course racing and competing actually on the course, and how that relates to day-to-day life.
yeah, absolutely. I think it was in that moment, it was definitely in America, that I looked around me and I looked at these athletes and teammates beside me, and I thought, wow, these are warriors. These are all men and women that have overcome adversity in some way, shape, or form, whether that be accidents. Yeah, I shan't get into it, but they have just bounced back, and the resilience is it's inspiring. Made me want to up my game, and come back to the UK and put in a good performance in the last weekend with the UK, and I did. And this community will lift you up if you'll only give it the chance and be part of it. I would strongly recommend, you know, um, inquiring and learning more.
Yeah, thanks, and I appreciate that, and appreciate your time and your shares, and yeah, it's really why I wanted to have this conversation, because I know we have a lot of conversations, but it's all really important stuff to, yeah,
Yeah,
let people know. Because yeah, like a lot of people are sitting in a place where they're not truly happy or don't understand why they're doing what they're doing, and with a few simple tweaks here and there, that can lead on to some big things. And it's not about completely shaking up life, but you can you can improve yourself and you can break through the plateaus and experience exponential growth if you allow it. But that's looking in the mirror and breaking through any limiting beliefs or any stories that you personally have or have been told, or stuff that you're carrying, and allow yourself to be free from them to move into a higher self, a better version of self. Is there anything we haven't discussed that you feel like you wanted to, or anything else you want to share?
No, for me, I'm at the beginning of my journey, right? I'm excited to see where this takes me, and we spoke about some of the achievements, and next year is going to be one to watch, right? And I'm just talking about the guitar playing there. So yeah, let's see where we get to, right? I'm excited for what I've learned. I want to say a massive thank you to you, um, to all the coaching team. You have genuinely, and I know people say this all the time, you have genuinely changed my life. You have, you've seriously helped me in all aspects of my life, not just sporting achievements, emotionally, spiritually. I cannot thank you enough, and I'm excited to see where we go next.
Likewise, bro. Excited to be on this journey with you. And let's fucking make it happen.
Let's do it.
It's happening. I am
It's
the
happening.
National Series champion.
Absolutely.
All right, Greg. Been a pleasure, man. And I'll catch you soon. Thanks for hopping
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. That is it for today's episode of the Obstacle Dominator podcast. Thank you for listening. If you've gained value from this episode or any others, all we simply ask is you share that with one other person. This one simple share could be the breakthrough that they need to get unstuck and start making progress again, and support more athletes to become healthier, happier, stronger, and faster human beings. If you feel called, please leave a review, tap the stars, give us a rating, head over to YouTube and subscribe, or just simply follow the show. These simple action steps go such a long way in helping us reach more athletes over time, and we'd love for you to be part of that. Proximity is power. If you are an athlete that's ready to take your performance up a level, then join us over on the OCR School. This is a community where you can surround yourself with the right people as you learn and as you rise. Learn from athletes who are not just talking the talk, but walking the walk, getting results, body and mind, everyone from first-time finishers to podium winners and champions. Until next time, keep training hard, keep living prepared, keep dominating the obstacles in life and in competition.